And this is my first time going live on this channel, I think. I think it is. But anyway, I'm going to go live and I'm going to run through some things. I've got some training coming up. I've been making some videos about it. And I decided that I would get ahead of the game just a little bit. And here's the deal. There are some questions that I think that students might ask. In fact, I decided to have a little chat with AI myself and get ahead of the game. There are some questions that I think people might ask, and I want to go through them. I've got them on my laptop right here, and we're just going to walk through them live right here. Okay, let's just do this. Okay. So this is the upcoming training is on what I call the 80-20 rule, as well as a couple of other things. It's basically a master class on how to run your sales pipeline like a criminal investigation. That's what I did for a living for a really long time. Then I got into sales, and now I'm bringing all of that information plus the culmination of the book that I wrote a while ago, and I am going to talk about it. So let's just get into it right here. Okay, question number one. What do I do if a prospect answers a question with a one-word answer and won't hit the 80% mark? So what they're talking about here, if you take the class, you'll learn that the 80-20 rule is actually about asking and talking 20% of the time and letting the client do 80% of the work on their side. So that's what that is all about. So if you get a person who is a one-word answer person, and anybody who has a teenager at home will understand this, the answer, your goal is to draw more out of them and pull them into the world. And so I studied under some very great forensic investigators, and one of the most powerful terms, sentences that I learned during that training was tell me more about that. So just an open-ended question that you just ask the question and then just be quiet. You just say, tell me more about that. And so essentially, what that does is that pulls the more information out of them. And if they don't or immediately respond, you can start using a little tactic like a mirror. You can start talking about maybe the second thing that they just said. You repeat like the last 5 words. So, that they just said, or, even repeat that one word. If, it does your technology inside of your business cause problems? If the answer is yes, well, then you say, okay, tell me more about that. Or the technology is a problem. What specifically is a problem? Asking the right questions. And then the most important thing is just to be quiet. Most importantly, absolutely important here. Now, look, I'm live and there's a few people watching, and that's fantastic to see. So give me some thumbs up, give me some likes and all of that stuff. And I would love to see, hello, Anna, I would love to see some thumbs up here, some questions, some stuff that you might have in the DM as we go through this. So I'm gonna keep reading. Thank you very much. I am going to keep reading here, and these are the questions that AI asked me about the upcoming class that I actually have. Okay, so thank you. Go too slow. I appreciate that. All right, so number 2 here. If I only talk 20% of the time, how do I actually present my pricing and value without rushing it? So the point is here is that when you're only talking 20% of the time, whenever you're asking more questions than you're talking and letting the prospect talk, it gives you the capability to listen more. And the old adage of you have one mouth and 2 ears is what plays in here. You're supposed to be talking less than you're listening. And the way that you get the value and the pricing off is the fact that you're letting the other people build that value in for you. So you are essentially having the conversation, and they're continuously going through and adding the value. So your technology is a mess right now, right? No, tell me specifically, what about that? Well, we can't get a hold of our IT department. The company that we hired is non-reportive. The computers are down all the time. We got to make a ticket. Well, they're giving you all of those points that you can come back from and say, wait a minute, these are the ticket points here. These are the ways that this is going to actually work. These are the good the good pieces of this. And then all you got to do is just solve those problems. Now, as far as pricing is concerned, after all of this value, all of this is said, and the Alex Ramosi way to do this would be to go value, 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 and then ask. So I would give them with a bunch of value, and then later hit them with the price. That might be the last thing that you talk about is the price, because that's an objection that you can later handle on down the road if you're interested. Great. So hope that rings true. Give me some thumbs up here if that was a good question, and I'm going to move on to number 3 here. The third question that AI would ask if it took my class is this: how do I handle a dominant, high status buyer who tries to flip the script and interrogate me first? Look, guys, I have had this happen at least several times, but twice that I'm thinking of. I had a lawyer who stood there for 20 minutes while I gave my spiel and talked about all that stuff. And then he just pounded me with the questions and pounded me with the questions. And then I've had in more than one occasion, I'm not a short guy, I'm 6 foot, but I have had on occasion, especially working with machinists and law enforcement, I've had people who were well over that. And they will loom over you and they will have the conversation sort of like this, which is fantastic. And the thing is that, an aggressive or a dominant person needs 2 things. You need to basically set boundaries. And I like to call out on aggressive behavior. So like that person that I found, that lawyer that was there and was asking me these questions at the end of the day, was trying to intimidate me. I just call out the behavior. I just basically say, hey, look, and his name was Jim, I think. And I'm like, hey, look, Jim, it sounds like you're being very aggressive right now. It sounds like there are some pieces of my spiel that maybe you didn't buy into, or there's an information kick here. What do you think is the holdup here? What do you think is the number one thing stopping this? And by calling out that behavior and by having that behavior come into a situation where you put a label on it, sometimes the person walks back. And that's exactly what he did. He's like, no, Joe, I'm not trying to be a jerk about it. I'm just trying to make sure I get to the right essence here and make sure that you're the right fit for my company. So honestly, he was doing the right thing. I don't have a single problem with that. I just think that it was a situation where he needed to, I guess, express his dominance or something like that. So what do you do with a dominant person? Like basically, you look like you came out of Jurassic Park movie. I'm not sure what that means. Who studies dinosaurs? Yeah, it's the glasses. Thanks. Actually, now that you brought that up, your appearance actually can be a portion of your sales strategy. And so I'm a male who quite often will do conversations with females and softening the appearance a little bit. I hate to be sexist there, but it actually does help. So looking like a studious professor or a archaeologist or something like that, a person of authority, has never hurt my sales game at the end of the day. But thank you very much for pointing it out. I'm not sure if that was a dig or not, but regardless, I think it's great. Oh no, you said looking good. Well, appreciate you. That's very nice. All right. Question number 4. I tried the 1-sentence pattern interrupt on a ghosted client and they left me on the red again. What's the next play? So look, there is a situation where you have tried to reach out to a client and you just move on with your life at the end of the day. So if a client has ghosted you, and you have reached out with a 1-word, have you given up type of an email, like, is this dead in the water? If you do that and you don't see that person again, and you've changed media, because I like to do that. If I'm emailing somebody and they ghost me on email, I like to send them a text message or a phone call. You change media a little bit. If you've done all of that and they're gone, give up, man. There's an old part, I think it was an SNL skit, and it said basically like, if you drop your keys in lava, forget about it. They're gone, man. Again, that's what we're dealing with here. Like, if you've tried and you can't do it, you can't do it. It is what it is. All right. Question number 5. This is the last one I'm going to go through, and then I'll end this live session. I really appreciate people who showed up here. Absolutely. Leave a comment in there and and some likes and stuff like that, because I really like seeing that. If you have a question and you're here and you have a question, I'm a salesperson. I do sales coaching for a living. If you're interested in that, DM me. I'd love to talk. But also, if you have any questions, put them in the comments here, and I'll read through them as I go, and we'll go from there. Okay. How do I use this framework with a lead that comes from a warm referral instead of a cold broadcast? Like, look, warm referrals are as good as it gets when it comes to doing sales. So you get a structured situation where you have a warm lead. Somebody has said, hey, this is my friend Jimmy, and Jimmy is interested in whatever it is that you're selling. That's fantastic. You're going to use the same protocol though. You're going to dig in with Jimmy, and you're going to start talking about what it is that Jimmy needs. You're going to dig into his problems. You're going to dig into exactly what's going on. And I think that's going to be fantastic. You're going to find that the 80-20 protocol, which you'll learn in this class, is going to help you in most scenarios, but especially and very much so with these large framework questions here, with these referrals and people that are coming to you. So that's all the questions that AI would ask. Well, that's the top 5. I asked it for 5 and it gave me 5. So that's what they would do for this upcoming class. If you want to come to the class, there's a link for it, and I'll send it to you. But you got to comment here. It's a small class, only a certain amount of people that are going to get in. We have a few spots open that I'm saving. So there is a capability to still get into this class, but you gotta reach out and go over to the rest of my channel and take a look at the rest of the stuff. There's a lot of free advice over there videos that I've made from when I sucked at making videos all the way to now, whenever I am okay at making videos. So I'd love to hear from you. I think it sounds great. Thank you guys very much for watching. Goodbye.